The geography of Western Canada is dominated by the Rocky Mountains. Nestled in a narrow valley on the western edge of the Rockies is the charming town of Golden in the province of British Columbia. Just east of Golden is the recreation site on Mount 7, a mecca for paraglider and hang glider pilots. We are planning to fly about 50 kilometers south along the Beaverfoot range, then fly back north to land at the campground. It should be a nice 3 to 4 hour flight. This week, over 70 pilots are gathered here for the annual Willy XC competition, which has been running for 29 years. The glider I am flying today is an Aeros Combat, which belongs to my friend Felix. He has two of those, so we are both flying the same model. Today is the 5th day of the event, but after a few rainy days at the start, it's only the second day for cross-country conditions. The forecast is looking really good, with cloud base over 11,000 feet and light winds everywhere. As usual, the paragliders take off early around noon. They are launching off the shallow north slope, while us hang gliders prefer to wait and launch when the wind comes up the west-facing ramp. At around 2 p.m., Felix is the first hang glider pilot to launch. The ramp launch looks intense, but it's easy if you do it right. I wait a bit for Felix to start climbing and then follow.
Here.
The dive off the ramp is exhilarating every time. Once I'm in my harness, I head right to where Felix was climbing. I feel the sensation of lift, but something feels wrong. I quickly realize that my Vario isn't making any sounds, even though I'm clearly feeling lift. I check the screen to see if the volume is off, but that doesn't seem to be the issue. For now, I need to focus on staying up, and I can try to figure it out when I'm higher and away from the terrain and other pilots. Thankfully, another hang glider has just launched. It's Dennis. I can watch him and get more information to stay in lift. Felix has flown out of the lift to join me, and the three of us form a nice gaggle and start circling in unison. The thermal is staying nice and steady. I see paragliders high up at the base of the puffy cloud at the end of the thermal. As we get closer to cloud base, I check the Vario again. It looks like it's not getting any GPS data and isn't able to provide altitude or climb rate. I may need to restart it to get it to work, but I cannot push the power button with my thick gloves. Based on the forecasted cloud base, I'm probably near 11,000 feet, right over the summit of Mount 7. It's also called Beaverhead Peak. The name Mount 7 refers to the formation of snow shaped like the number that is visible for several weeks in the spring as the snow melts. I saw Felix leave on glide a few minutes ago, but I've lost track of him. So I continue south on my own, but first I cross to the southeast over Horse Creek Canyon, aiming to get under the cloud street. Capristo Mountain, right in front, is the highest one in the Beaverfoot range. Getting to cloud base is easy, even without other pilots to follow. This is a classic convergence cloud street that happens when light valley winds go up both sides of a narrow mountain range. When I'm higher, closer to cloud base, I am paying attention to how the cloud looks and to my distance to the cloud to judge if I'm climbing. When further away from clouds, I am looking at the changing perspective of distant mountains as they rise higher relative to closer ones when I'm climbing. This is the same effect as the horizon expanding as one gains height. For more instant feedback, I feel the subtle glider movements through the control bar, keeping a very light grip on it. I am noticing the slight changes in the glider's angle of attack relative to the horizon due to lift or sink. The changing sound of wind is another important cue for speed. If I am at the edge of a thermal, I can hear the glider gaining speed as it falls out of lift, or slowing down as it enters stronger lift. After a few more relaxed climbs, I've reunited with Felix and Dennis here. The mountains to the east are part of the Kootenai National Park, and just one range beyond is the more famous Banff National Park. The Rockies are one of the biggest mountain systems in the world, extending over 4,000 kilometers north to south across North America. They formed through a process called the Laramide orogeny, which occurred between 80 to 50 million years ago. It involved flat slab subduction, where the Farallon oceanic plate slid eastward beneath the North American plate at a shallow angle. Geologists say that this caused significant compression and uplift far inland from the plate boundary, leading to the formation of the Rocky Mountain chain. I am about 30 kilometers from launch, based on the map I studied before the flight, and the cloud street seems to end abruptly here. For whatever reason, the lift further south isn't going high enough to form clouds. Just yesterday, I sank out trying to fly south past the cloud street, even with my Vario working. I definitely do not want to scratch low without the Vario. Another concern is landing this borrowed high-performance wing in unknown wind conditions. The main LZ is the only place with windsocks and flags as clear wind indicators, so I want to make it back there. And so I decide to turn back north here. Flying north along the Columbia Valley, I appreciate the scenery of the meandering Columbia River flowing northward. The shallow floodplain forms a wetland in many places, and is protected as a wildlife management area here. This valley is the southern part of the much longer valley called the Rocky Mountain Trench, which runs over 1,000 kilometers and demarcates the western edge of the Rockies. There are several more mountain ranges to the west of the trench, collectively called the Columbia Mountains, and they are older than the Rockies. This particular section is called the Purcell Mountains. The road paralleling the river is Highway 95, which starts at Golden and continues over 300 kilometers south to the US border. Any form of flight always induces some degree of a mental state of flow, as the pilot needs to stay focused to stay alive. Right now, with all the information I'm taking in and processing subconsciously, it feels like the next level of flow. Flying cross-country without any instrument has been an eye-opening and an organic experience. It's sure to improve my flying even more when I have a Vario next time. Approaching Mount 7, I find the usual climb at the peak and take it to cloud base again. I decide to use the altitude to fly further north while keeping the LZ on glide. I fly over the narrow canyon of the Kicking Horse River, which flows into the Columbia at Golden. The road in the canyon parallel to the river is the Trans-Canada Highway, which cuts all the way across the Rockies, connecting the west and east coasts of Canada. The town of Golden was originally settled as a base camp to survey the valley for the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1885, and was named so to outdo a nearby camp named Silver City. Today, given its proximity to 6 national parks, it's an ideal destination for outdoor enthusiasts. The Kicking Horse Ski Resort across the valley is a major source of tourism too. This section of the Rocky Mountains is called the Van Horn Range. There are very few named peaks here. Porcupine Peak at 9,100 is one of the highest ones. It's part of the Yoho National Park. I want to tag the prominent Moberly Peak, but I turn back as I am getting low, and I want to have some reserve altitude to return to launch and maybe climb back up again. Returning to launch, I only find weak lift. With no other pilots to help me out, it's hard to climb fast, and I get impatient and leave the lift. I'm satisfied with my flight so far, so I head over to our landing field, which is part of the riverfront campground where we are staying. It's next to the small community of about 300 people called Nicholson. With my spare altitude, I continue past the LZ to the foothills of the Western Range. A part of the Purcell Mountains group, it's called the Dogtooth Range because of the sharp, jagged peaks. There's little to no lift here, so I regret not working that last climb near launch, which would have allowed me to get further west. Well, that's something to aim for next time. Now it's time to prepare for landing. Having practiced the approach the last few days, I know what to do. The windsock and flag are showing light wind from the west, so I fly into the field right over the trees on the eastern side and have a nice, clean approach and landing. Even though the flight was shorter than I had planned, I still had a lot of fun. In a few minutes, Felix joins us and has a great landing too. It's time to enjoy some burgers and beers with the group.